If you've ever watched any of my videos, then you've probably heard me use the term danger levels. And if you've never watched any of my videos, then welcome to my channel. It's so nice to meet you. In this video, I'm gonna take you through what danger levels are, show you 7 examples, some with white, some with black, and then at the end, I will show you how to not apply the concept of danger levels and things to be careful about. Basically, danger levels are when you are put in danger and you can ignore the threat by creating one equal or exceeding in value to your opponent. Let's go. In this position, we have the white pieces. We're losing by a little bit, and our opponent now plays the move knight to a5, attacking our rook. Under normal circumstances here, you look around for moves with the rook, maybe this to attack the knight, can't go here, you get out of the way. But what is worth more than a rook? A queen or a king? Is there any way for us to attack this king on e8? It doesn't mean you have to play it, but you have to see it. And the answer is yes. We can go check. And actually, in this position, if we give a check, we also attack the knight. And we win the knight. It's a double attack on the king and the knight. Doesn't really matter what black does here. We will take the knight, and now we've won a piece for free. The whole point of this video is going to be drawing your mind and attention to these small details and positions. It'll change how you perceive tactics and puzzles and just kind of general flow of the game. Now we go to this one. And again, for all of these, if you want to pause, you're more than welcome to try to solve them on your own, but I'm going to help you in visualizing each and every one. These are all from examples, actually, of real games. So this was a game, and here black played the move knight to b3, attacking the rook on a1. Now, you cannot take this knight because it is protected by the queen. You would have to move the rook over or do something like this. So here, if you use, again, the concept of danger levels, if you want to try to solve it, once again, go ahead and pause. This is a danger level, but that's just, I mean, they just take it and you haven't really solved anything. You can also play the move bishop to e4, which does attack the queen, but then they just take with the knight. And again, you haven't solved anything because if you take back, there is this. So you start looking around, you start going, I don't think I have anything here, I just got to move my rook, but you do. You can attack this queen with a very non-standard move, the move rook to e5. And this is pretty crazy because now if they take, you would get a queen, they would take back like this, for example, and now, I mean, your bishop is under attack and so is this knight, but if you just move the bishop out of the way, which is exactly what happened in the game, now the knight is trapped. And so a move later, white won the knight, now white has queen and knight for 2 rooks, which is an advantage. We go a couple of moves back. If rook e5 hadn't happened, the game would have just proceeded as is. And the queen can't really move and stay guarding the knight. You notice if the queen moves, then like this, and you've just won a knight for free. So that is kind of the super, like this is like a much more advanced example because rook e5 is such a strange move. But again, it's to mold your thought process of how to understand these positions and find these ideas and evaluate if they're good or not. So for this next one, and this was kind of like a mix between a puzzle and an analysis from a real game. Decision is completely equal, and black plays the move rook to c3. The point is that the queen is under attack, the bishop is protecting the rook, so of course, naturally, you move the queen away, but you have to move it so that at least you stay defending the bishop. But the thing that's worth more than a queen is a king, or equivalent would be a queen, and you have to visualize whether or not this move is good. It opens up the queen, seeing the queen. If the queen takes the bishop, the queen will take the rook. We've won material. If the king takes, we take the queen. And we now break in, win, and that's it. And bishop takes f7 in this position is the best move. You don't move the queen, even though it's under attack. You give the opponent the check, and that's it. You are winning. I mean, again, it's going to be a lot of these repetitions. So this is taken from a game. Here, white is up a pawn. Black plays the move bishop h5, pinning the rook to the queen. Looks very bad for white. I mean, looks like white really messed this up, and it's really bad. I mean, this is actually a little bit of a trickier one. So here, we can use danger levels 2 ways. You look around, you go, well, what's worth more than a rook? Oh, I know, a king. Boom, I'm done. No, because what happens if this? You haven't dealt with this at all. You say, Levy, queen e4, I'm mating. Yeah, not really, because the bishop actually protects this diagonal. And then black is completely fine. Black has just won your rook, and there's nothing. So it's not so simple. It's not just, oh, you do it, and it's good. It has to have an actual reason behind why it's good. Well, what's worth more than a rook? Not just the king. also a queen, and this is good, because this is winning the queen. If the bishop takes the rook, and we take the queen, they cannot take our queen. They are in check. Oops, they are in check. So they have to address that, and then we would take, and now we are winning. So again, bishop h5, you go, oh my god, I'm so stupid. All right, I'll give a check. No, 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 no. Evaluate, look around, there's other options. The queen is also worth more than a rook, so that is why in this case, danger levels works in our favor. And now we will look at a few from the black perspective. This is straight from a chess.com puzzle. In this position, white plays bishop takes g7, trapping our rook. Looks pretty bad. You look around, you go, oh, look at this. I can play knight takes f2. Oh my goodness, what's worth more than a rook? I can give a check. Oh, I'm so smart, check. I can also go here. Oh, look at that. I'm forking them. Well, this one's actually kind of challenging because the way you should think about it is you should look at the moves that you can threaten your opponent and they have the minimum number of responses. So what does that mean? If you go bishop b4 check, the opponent can block, 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 and move the king up one square, right? But if you play bishop takes f2 check, the opponent cannot take, cannot go here. The opponent has one move, and it's this. And it makes calculating this before you play it a lot easier, because they can only do one thing. It makes it a lot easier. Sometimes the opponent can do 7 different things. And now we have mate. It's just mate, it's check, only move, and queen e3 is mate. If you play bishop, knight takes f2, you're threatening the queen and the rook, but you are not threatening the piece worth even more than those two. And that is the concept of danger levels, and now we are adding layers to this. We're making it a bit more complicated. You have options in this position. You can attack the most valuable piece and cut down the options. Or you can attack the queen and the rook, but the king is the one that you should start with. There might be another position where bishop takes f2 is not the right move. Like, for example, had we gone here, the opponent would have blocked. We might not have anything, right? So there you go. For this next one, this is actually, this was funny. This was from a sub battle. White is completely winning here. You know, the rook can see the rook. But here, white plays a great move. White plays the move c5. Fantastic move. It's basically almost mate. King cannot take, king cannot go here, king cannot come back. It's check. Black has to play knight takes c5. And, well, this is sometimes what happens at the lower end of the rating ladder. You know, white should obviously just take this back, you know? But white, during the game, it was a blitz game, just thought, oh, the king just takes and then I'm going to lose my rook. Like, you know, not realizing that here it's white's move and white takes the rook and white is just winning, right? So in the game, white was like, oh, wait a second, I'm going to take the piece worth more first. Even though the knight, it's worth less, but it comes with check. So the rook is not going anywhere. White decided to take the rook first, thinking, okay, well, this is going to happen, and then I'll take the knight, and I'm good. But in this position, black used the concept of danger levels. Black used this one moment. The knight is hanging, and so is the rook. Who's worth more than everybody? The king. Check. Sneaking the knight out of danger, attacking the king, forcing it to move. Now picking this up, and black is just up 2 pawns, and black went on to win this game. Just a move order mistake there by white, and black uses the concept of danger levels, making the knight escape from danger, and now the king takes the rook, and that's that. This next one is insanely complicated. So I saved the best for last. If you've made it this far, it's not a super long video. But, you know, this one will kind of explain more about danger levels. So here's one for you, right? It's an opening, looks pretty balanced. And here, just a normal move like rook to e1 or queen up a square, bringing the rooks to the middle files is good. But white begins fighting. White plays the move knight b to d4. Now, black doesn't have to take. Black could just castle here and be completely fine and happy. But black in the game does take. And you'll notice that this move opens up the bishops. Now the bishops see each other, and white immediately did something about that with the check. If white just took back with the knight would have been protecting the bishop, and this would have been okay. But now bishop takes d7. And if you take with the queen, right, the knight is still hanging. So this still has 2 attackers. Maybe we have some sort of big trade. But there is another way to take this, not with the king. It's not that fancy. It's with the knight. You take with the knight, and now this bishop sees this bishop. If white just takes back this knight, we take the bishop, this is protected, and we are up a piece. I mean, we're just straight up a piece. We have an extra bishop, or an extra knight, right? We'll be up a knight. We've won this trade. So this move makes everything a lot more complicated. Now white cannot take back the knight, because the bishop sees the bishop. So that's easy, right? We just take the bishop, no problem. You take back, I take. Okay, fair trade. Danger levels is where now this comes into play. We do not have to take the bishop back, because the knight can take the knight. It is a check. It is more on the hierarchy than the queen. The white has to do something about it. And now we will take this back. And white ended up losing a bishop in this position. This was not from a real game. Although it was, rather I should say, it was from a real game, but it was a puzzle. So sometimes puzzles are based on positions that happen in real games. And I believe this puzzle was like 1800. It was a game between two 1800s, and black did not find knight takes d7. Black did not find this idea because black didn't see it. I mean, sometimes that happens in blitz games. But this is kind of a much deeper example of this, and now, hopefully you've made it this far, we're going to look at a few kind of ways to avoid playing the concept of danger levels. One thing I want to just point out, just like I put like a totally random position like this, danger levels don't always have to win you material. They can be used to just improve the positioning of your pieces. I'll give you an example in just a very simple way. The bishop is under attack, but here we can play knight to the middle, attacking the queen, and when the queen retreats, then we, guard our bishop. And we've just basically used one move to improve the position of our knight, right? In every example I showed you, we're winning something, a rook, a knight, a queen, a checkmate. But you can also use danger levels to just slightly improve your position. You don't need to use danger levels to always win. You just have to be on the lookout. Again, that's the point of this video, to get you thinking the right way. And now I will warn you of the things that might happen of danger levels. There's basically two ways you have to avoid playing this concept. Number one is just a very, very simple example. It can, happen in an opening like, like this. So here's like the most basic of examples. White creates a threat on the knight, right? Black says, I watched the Gothamchess YouTube video, I can give a check, I'm so smart. My knight doesn't have to move, I can give a check. You need to be careful when you leave something under attack, because if you go attack me with something else, that something else can also be put under danger. Now you have the original problem and the new problem, and you can't deal with both. You're gonna lose something. So this sometimes happens. You just play a move, you just ignore the threat, you go play a move, and now you're in trouble all the same, and you haven't really improved your position at all, right? So that is something to keep in mind, especially if like a pawn is attacking you. Pawns are the hardest. I mean, you can't do anything when a pawn attacks you. You oftentimes have to move out of danger because they're worth so little. And for the last one, I actually wanted to go back several examples ago to this position and change a very small thing. Okay? A very small thing. The positioning of the king here. Why? Because if bishop h5 now and bishop to e6, this still works, because bishop takes f3 is a check, and we cannot take the queen. But if we take this back, this is still maintained as a pin. But there are going to be instances where this doesn't always work. This is only working because it's a pin on the king. But for example, what if in the original position, I changed the positioning of the king, but I also changed the positioning of black's king? Okay, and now it's white's move. Or for example, if we want to go back to all the way to the original version where it's black's move, now bishop h5 is working because bishop e6, bishop f3 is a check, so we cannot take the queen, right? And now the queen moves. So here the concept of danger levels was very temporary. It wasn't actually forcing that we win any material. It was a very temporary move, a little trick. Black saw through it, and we didn't win anything, right? So those are the kind of two exceptions to the rule when it comes to danger levels. Be careful attacking two different things. You might have to deal with two different problems. And something like this, where it's like, it looks like you're creating a threat of a danger level, but you're not, because their move comes with a more forcing nature, right? It attacks the thing that's worth the most. In general, though, as I said, the point of all these exercises is to get you thinking the right way about this concept. Now, hopefully this clarifies if you ever hear me say danger levels in any of my videos when I'm doing rating climbs or sub-games or something along those lines. Thank you once again for watching a relatively brief video, but one that I hope is informative. As always, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment. I love to go through the comments and read your, banter with me and also banter with each other. And if I haven't covered a topic in my videos yet that you want covered, please do leave it in the comments. And if you see a comment that you agree with on one of these matters, just bump it up, because that way it makes it to the top and I will see it. Much love, take care, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.